Tenzin and Yangqing Dorji are Tibetans who are living in exile, and you and your two children moved here 8 years ago.
Yes.
Why did you come to America?
Well, coming to America was a big decision for us. And, you know, as a lot of people know, we grew up as refugees in India. And then we had my little daughter who was a year and a half. Although we were doing very well in India, you know, we had businesses and we were pretty comfortable. But the nagging thought was always, what will happen to our little girl? And in the end, I think, you know, we made a decision saying we have to make this big move for the sake of our child. We need to be able to put her into a better situation than we had. She needs to have the opportunities that she deserves, like any other child in the world deserves. So that is our biggest motivation of moving to the United States.
And so when you first moved here, you were living in New York City, in metropolitan New York. When did you decide to put down roots here in the North Country?
Life became much less complicated and much more fuller in terms of having a very supportive community that was more like family to us. And that is exactly the way we lived in the past. And that's exactly what we wanted for ourselves, plus we wanted that for our children. So moving to Plattsburgh was a blessing in disguise.
And a few years ago, you organized the Tibetan Arts Festival. Why did you decide to do that? How did that all begin?
I felt it is so important for me as an individual Tibetan to introduce and create awareness and educate the younger generation who can help, who can understand our dying country and get more support, international support, so that one day Tibet will be a free country.
For us, it becomes a duty that we keep that tradition alive, that culture alive.
Amy Mountcastle, she came to do her PhD on Tibetan refugee back in 1992. Since then, we were friends. So having her here was another advantage of, you know, organizing this festival through SUNY Plattsburgh.
And over the past few years, we've really seen the festivals grow, and really it's become a true community event.
It just came together all at once, you know, and it was meant to happen.
In a very short period
very
of time,
short period. I think we organized it within 10 or 12 days. We did that, the first one.
Were you surprised how much it grew and how involved the community became?
Yes.
Well, one thing we've always known is that this community was going to support us in whatever we did in bringing the Tibetan arts to Plattsburgh and to the Adirondacks. And it grew into a whole Plattsburgh, Adirondack area community project. So now it's not just Yangqing and me and Amy doing anything, it is the whole community. And that was the aim right from the beginning, that we want our community to be involved. We want our community to know about us. And now we can very, very proudly say this is now a community affair.
Especially the mural with Julia and Su Yang, and the whole community getting together, 3,645 hands together, was like a dream come true for us, you know, being in this small community. And then the involvement of the Adirondack Youth Orchestra, that they're learning so much about a new culture.
And even the music itself, all the children that we talked to, they said, this is so new, this is so different, it is so melodious, you know. So it was very rewarding to see that the future generation of our community was actually enjoying it, and they were learning. So we've started them at a very young age, learning about what other arts and cultures are there in the world. So that actually made the hunger grow more to learn more about what's outside. Countless people have put in so much of their time and effort into making this whole thing happen, and you know, Yangqing and I, we don't have words to express how grateful we are to the community and how, you know, truly blessed we are that we are part of this community.
You know, you have to take that lead to do something like this successful festival in a small community like Plattsburgh. So I think it was also an eye-opener to all these individual artists who came to participate for this festival, that they can go back and do something similar to what we did here in Plattsburgh in their own community.
Well, I think that's the result that we are hoping to achieve with the Mountain Lake documentary. People who see this, and of course we will do our best to promote it wherever we can, but we want them to see that a local small town American community can come together with one Tibetan family to make this happen. Why can't it happen in the rest of the places? So that would be our, it would be our aim that that a lot more Tibetan people and local communities follow our lead and make this grow. So that is what we are hoping will be achieved through this documentary.
And now with us is Julia Devine with Plattsburgh Renewal Project. Thank you very much for being here with us.
Plattsburgh Renewal Project is a group of citizen volunteers that want to make Plattsburgh a better place to live, and they're committed to working on short-term projects that will have a lasting impact on the community. And so this was a perfect fit for us, helping to create a mural for downtown and organizing all the community tile making projects. It was an amazing opportunity. So we were, from the get-go, excited and happy to join this true community effort. Back in April, at the beginning of this festival, it was a Rhythms of Tibet concert. That was our very first community tile making event, which was after the show. I didn't know, I hope people will stay after to make tiles. And then, there was a line out the door and so many people were making tiles. And it was like, it's happening. It's really happening.
So the community really came together.
Over 300 community members. And that was the amazing thing, because you have these ideas of, these projects and these public art stuff. And when you really have to experience what it's like to have a large community make something, it's overwhelming. And when the mural was unveiled, a man showed up we had never met before with doves. And he was like, I want to release doves when we unveil this mural. And all these people were there, and it really meant something. Yeah, it was a really emotional day. There were families. People were moved by it, and in some ways, I think Yangchen and Tenzin were talking about how this community embraced them, and it's almost like we are all part of the Tibetan culture now. And I think Plattsburgh itself is a wonderful community, but sometimes it's, I think, been in search of an identity. And I think what the Tibetan culture can bring to Plattsburgh is to discover a new identity, and how arts and culture are really meaningful. Here's a community that has to preserve its culture. If Plattsburgh were in that position, what would we be preserving? And now that's why I'm really passionate about creating more public art projects for Plattsburgh. And I think the mosaic, in a way, the mandala, maybe actually is some kind of spiritual opening for the downtown, the revitalization of look where we can go. I grew up in Philadelphia, which is the city of murals, and I've seen what that can do for communities and how it can transform. And I think Plattsburgh is ripe for more projects like that. And participating in this, you could see the benefits of it, and just how anyone in the community can interact with it and respond to it. You don't have to know something, you don't have to know anything, but you look at it and it does something for you. And that's amazing. And that all came from, in a way, Yangchen and Tenzin moving here. And then look at the ripple effects that happen. And then so many people were involved. It's not just one person did that. It's truly a communal thing. And let's do more of that.
One of the major components of the Arts Festival features young musicians with the Adirondack Youth Orchestra. Paul Larson, who is the producer of this new documentary, has the story.
North Country students have unforgettable memories of the 4th Festival of Tibetan Arts and Culture in Plattsburgh. The Adirondack Youth Orchestra made history as the youngest orchestra in the Western world to play music from Tibet.
Music and art reflect culture, and by studying music and art from different cultures, we learn about those people and we bridge the gaps of misunderstanding and learn that we're not so different from others halfway around the world.
Make sure you change it to the correct pitch in the key. 4/4.
It's also one of the very first orchestras to ever play Tibetan music symphonically. The young students rehearsed for months under the direction of conductor and music arranger Todd Prey.
When we rehearse, we're talking a little bit about where the piece is from, what the people are like in those places, what the history is behind the piece.
Prey arranged 3 pieces of Tibetan music for an orchestra. The students, who come from all over the North Country, performed these pieces at several events, both before and during the Tibetan Festival of Arts and Culture.
The Adirondack Youth Orchestra is playing a piece called Sertri Nasal, which is a traditional Tibetan song and dance played at the enthronement ceremony of the Dalai Lama and has been played at his birthday several times over the years. It's a very common traditional tune that's well known throughout the Tibetan community. To orchestrate the piece, I basically had a recording of the piece from TIPA, the Tibetan Institute of Performing Arts. I start off the piece trying to make it sound as traditional as possible, with woodwinds and strings playing pretty much by themselves the main melody of the piece.
The melody line in this piece is great, because even though it repeats all the time, there's something different about it. Like the background's different, or you play it with different accents, so it's great.
Later, I add some Western elements, like a rock beat in the percussion section.
It's kind of exciting how we brought 2 different cultures together and kind of made one piece of music.
The culture of Tibet, they were taken over by China. They were exiled from their country, and yet they're still a living people trying to continue their traditions, their dances. It's interesting to see a history of this people who had these dances that we never knew about before. Or at least I certainly didn't know about it until I started working on this project.
It feels pretty cool because, it seems like we're making a mark in history.
It's very special for us to perform this piece because it's at least one of the first times, if not the first time, that a Western orchestra has arranged and performed a traditional Tibetan song and dance. We were having dinner with Tenzin and Yangchen, and they mentioned that one of their Tibetan friends was in the audience and saw the performance and was moved to tears by what the kids have done with the music and learning about their culture, and that they're a part of this project. And that to me is just very, very special.
You can learn more about the Tibetan Festival with the big screen premiere of our new documentary, Arts in Exile, Tibetan Treasures in Small-Town America. A special screening will be held next Wednesday evening, January 20th at 7 p.m. at the historic Strand Theater in downtown Plattsburgh. It is free and open to everyone. And after the screening, there will be a question and answer session with the people involved in making the film. And then the broadcast premiere will be the following night, Thursday, January 21st at 8 p.m. here on Mountain Lake PBS. And you can find more, including extras that won't be in the documentary, on our website at mountainlake.org.